Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this part of the Shin Megami Tensei retrospective. Today we're going through the Devil Summoner series, which is a pretty big series, but I think one that people don't really know about. The Devil Summoner series started off as a spin-off to Shin Megami Tensei. It was first released on the PS1, and it was the first, I think, big spin-off for consoles. When the producer Koji Okada worked on Shin Megami Tensei If, he was inspired to make Shin Megami Tensei games in all kinds of different universes. So the idea of Shin Megami Tensei If really created this idea of this what-if multiverse and allowed him to make games like Persona and like Devil Summoner. The first game in the series, Devil Summoner, was released for the Sega Saturn in 1995. The game takes the ideas from the Shin Megami Tensei series and sets it in modern Japan with a focus on a more detective-like narrative. In the main game, demons are invading Tokyo, and that becomes a common theme in the series, and it's up to the main characters to kind of figure out what's going on and stop that. The game features the first-person dungeons that Shin Megami Tensei is known for, but they've really been upgraded from past Shin Megami Tensei games. After the game's released, a Compendium Disc was released separately. This disc contained better quality images of all the demons in the game, and it had a whole bunch of information about the demons. And you could get it separately, or later you could get it bundled in a special box with the original game. And that brings us to the first item on this table, which is the special box which I have, which includes the original Devil Summoner and that special Compendium Disc. So that's released separately. It also comes with his mini disc, which is a drama CD, which is like, a play on CD kind of that is really popular in Japan. They'll release those for all kinds of series and stuff, and that you can only get that in the special box. So this is really the best collection for this game, even though it's really tough to play because it never came out in English. In Japan, a live-action TV series was also broadcast, which is based on the original game. The first season was 13 episodes. Because it was so popular, a second season was released, which is a whole new story that isn't covered in any of the games. The second game in the series is Devil Summoner Soul Hackers, which was also released for the Saturn. The game is an indirect sequel to the original Devil Summoner. It doesn't have very many tie-ins, but it's a whole different story and setting. This takes place in a more futuristic setting, and the story revolves around an online game that the characters go into. The game used the same engine as the original Devil Summoner, but everything has been upgraded to make it a much smoother play experience. Soul Hackers here has 2 discs because they have a ton of CG cutscenes in them. It's pretty standard CG for that era, so it's not great, but this package is interesting. It's a huge instruction manual. There's a trading card, so I guess there were a trading card game in Japan. Didn't read about, and just your usual slip cards and stuff, so it's a decent set. There was a port of the game to the PlayStation, and the PlayStation version features an extra dungeon, and it has Pocket Station support. So if you don't know, the Pocket Station was similar to a VMU for Dreamcast, and it let you play like kind of little mini games on the go, and there were only a few games that supported that, so it's nice to know that Shin Megami Tensei was represented in that. Just like the first game, this game also had a Compendium of Demons. This one I have here is called a Compendium of Devils the Second. So same thing, just a little like glossary of all the demons in the game and high-res art for those demons. It's just a nice thing for collectors, but isn't really essential to the experience. Way later, the game was ported to the 3DS with its only official English release. So Devil Summoner, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner Soul Hackers for the 3DS, put out by Atlas, just like everything else. It comes with a soundtrack and slipcase. Again, it's a cool way to play the game. This came out around the same time as Shin Megami Tensei 4, and that really highlighted the differences between new and old school game design, because this is very few updates made to this game. It plays very closely to the original, and it's very tough and really outdated at this point, but really cool to have if you're a fan of the series. After the success of Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne for the PS2, the team was trying to decide what to do next, and some members were pretty vocal about wanting to bring back Devil Summoner. So they planned a smaller game that would be a prequel to the original and would be on handheld devices. So I'm not sure if that was going to be for GBA or DS or PSP, but something along those lines. However, throughout development, they came up with more and more ideas, and the game grew in scope, and they eventually decided to release it for the PS2. So using some of the tech from SMT3, they went ahead with Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner Raido Kuzunoa versus the Soulless Army for PS2. It's a really cool game. It's kind of an indirect prequel to the original Devil Summoner. It takes place in an alternate history 1930s version of Japan. You play as a detective Raido. Demons are invading Japan. He can recruit demons and fight back and explore the city, and it's a real cool experience. It features a new open world design, which is really nice for this series, and it features 12 chapters. In 2008, the game had a direct follow-up with Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner 2 Raido Kuzunoa versus King Abaddon. And again, it's just, Raido's back. He's got a whole new mystery to go after. same thing. Everything's a little bit better, a little bit smoother, but it's the same basic gameplay there. This originally came out in a special edition, which I had, but for space I kind of threw out the box, which I'm a bit regretting now because it was a nice box, but it also came with a Jack Frost plush that was dressed up like Rhino, which I have somewhere. I just couldn't dig it out in time for this episode. It's a really nice package. I'll throw a picture of it up here. And that's it for the Devil Summoner series. Like I said, it's not a huge series, but it's a really cool one. So it's one not a lot of people know about. Check it out if you get the chance. Especially these PS2 games are great. I highly recommend them. So Devil Summoner episode went by pretty quickly. I went through those games way faster than I expected, but I still think I covered all the main points. I originally planned this retrospective to be 5 different videos, but I think by moving some stuff into this, I can get it down to 4, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And so I've decided to add the Digital Devil Saga games to this video, so I'm going to go through those now. As you can see, I found my Rhino Jack Frost, so that's cool. I love this guy. He's such a great looking Jack Frost and such a cool thing. Again, I wish I had kept the big box that he came in, but it's, you know what, back at that time I wasn't really collecting showpieces. It was just for me to have, so regardless, it's a big box that took up so much space for just this little figure, so I can't really, so I don't really care that much about it. Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga is a series of 2 games on the PS2 from 2004 and 2005. The games were directed by Katsura Hashino. He's a new director who worked in smaller roles on the previous Megami Tensei games, but this was his first chance to be a director. The series was another attempt to bring Shin Megami Tensei to a wider audience, just like they've tried with the earlier Persona and Devil Summoner games, but this time they wanted the game design to stay true to the main series. The game uses Hindu themes and futuristic settings and takes place inside a virtual world. The original story was written by Japanese novelist Yu Doi, but due to personal reasons she had to withdraw from the project before the scripts were complete. The script was finished off by Tadashi Satomi, who had previously written scripts for the first 3 Persona games. Like Nocturne, the game features 3D environments and turn-based battles. Production on Digital Devil Saga actually started before development of Nocturne, so both games were in development at the same time. The battle system was taken straight from Nocturne and uses the same push-turn mechanics. However, unlike previous Shin Megami Tensei games, there's no capturing and using demons for battles. Instead, the player's party is made up of 3 members who can all change into demon forms to attack. Digital Devil Saga takes place inside the Junkyard, an MMO-like digital world where 7 tribes are facing off against each other. The game follows the story of the Embryon tribe, who have become infected with a demon virus and are trying to devour the other tribes so that they can reach Nirvana. The second game improves on the gameplay of the first game and moves the story out of the Junkyard and into the real world. It resolves many of the loose story threads from the original game. So let's go through the Digital Devil Saga stuff. This was the first game that was released. I think this was kind of the first print that included some extra stuff. Later prints didn't include all of this, but it comes with this kind of sleeve, which opens up into this case that has the first game, which includes just the manual and disc, obviously. It comes with a soundtrack, which is always great. And it came with a placeholder that's pushing Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga 2 and Stella Deuce, which is another great tactics game by Atlas, but same designer as Persona, so same designer as the more recent Persona games, so that's worth checking out if you like Persona games. And again, this just kind of slid in as a placeholder for when you got Digital Devil Saga 2 and could put it in there, and so then we got Digital Devil Saga 2, which just comes with the manual and disc. A side story mobile RPG was also released called Digital Devil Saga Avatar Tuner A's Test Server. It was released in Japan only. The gameplay was similar to the main game, but it was scaled down for mobile. It's a side story where characters from the game wake up in a tower with no memories. They have to explore the tower to figure out how they got there. The game features 15 floors of the tower. Later, a complete edition was released on some mobile devices, and that included more floors and a new character. A single-volume manga spin-off was also released entitled Digital Devil Saga Avatar Tuner Shinin no Mato. It was published in Japan in 2005. The manga focuses on a group of characters that were only briefly featured in the original game. The game takes place during the same time as the first game and connects to it. While Yu Doi left the project early and wasn't able to complete her story vision, because of her contract she was able to release light novels based on her original concepts. While the story starts the same as the game, it goes in a very different direction. She released 5 light novels in that series called Quantum Devil Saga. The first book was released in English by a small publisher, Bento Books, in 2014. It was called Quantum Devil Saga, Avatar Tuner Volume 1. And it looked like they had plans to translate the other 4, but I don't think it did so well, so that never happened. One other side game that I want to get to now that I have here is Maken X for the Dreamcast. Now, Maken X, Maken X is a game I want to cover in this retrospective, even though it isn't technically a Shin Megami Tensei game, and this is the best video to put it in, so... Maken X is a first-person slasher for the Dreamcast that was published by Atlus and has art direction by Kazuma Kanako, who was a major creative force behind the look of most of the titles in the Shin Megami Tensei series. The game is unrelated to Shin Megami Tensei, but its art style is so similar to games like Nocturne and Digital Devil Saga that it's definitely worth checking out for fans. In the game, the player is armed with the Maken weapon, which can take control of different characters by brainjacking them. In Japan, a manga, Maken X and Other, was serialized and released in 3 volumes. It was later reprinted into 2 volumes as Another Jack. Neither of those printings have ever been released in English. An update of the game was also released for PS2 in Japan only, called Maken Shao Demon Sword. So, thanks for checking out this episode. Again, I think we're cutting it down to 4, so again, I think we're cutting it down to 4 episodes. I have the Persona episode coming up soon, and after that is going to be all the portable games. So stay tuned for that. Thanks.